Today on American Controversial, Palestine has officially been recognized by the UNESCO. Is Palestine gaining momentum, and what is the United States doing about this?
Herman Cain is under media scrutiny for allegedly being involved in a sexual harassment lawsuit. Is it valid? We will examine.
The drug cartels in Mexico are getting more and more violent. What is the United States going to do about it, if anything, to protect our citizens?
And President Obama has been executing a lot of executive orders. This is a good way to govern.
All this and more coming up next on American Controversial.
Welcome to American Controversial. I'm Brad Guthrie. Alongside with me, Adriana Valencia. The United States has cut $80 million in funding to UNESCO after the agency voted to accept the Palestinian bid for full membership. What does this mean for our peace negotiations with the U.S. and Palestine? Will it grow further apart because of the vote? Adriana, what do you feel about this?
I feel as if the United States is over-exaggerating with Palestine becoming a part of the a state. I think that cutting $80 million, from the funding for UNESCO is ridiculous because they do contribute 22% of the funding.
Absolutely.
And I just think that they are not looking at the best way that they can help the world, rather they're just looking out for themselves.
Now, the position of the United States, Victoria Nuland, the State Department spokeswoman, said that this will have a direct impact on the negotiations between Palestine and Israel. Do you feel as if Israel, are they complying, are they compromising, are they doing things to help better the chances of the Palestinian people and the Palestinian state government to be established in that region?
I think that they're not, because everyone else that voted to make Palestine a state is looking out for the best interests and the best intention. They have the best intentions for the people of Palestine, but other states are just not.
I'm curious to find out, because 120 out of the 193 countries that are in the UN, they have yet accepted and they have yet support an own Palestinian state. I feel with the position of Palestine, I feel as if that if they themselves desire an individual state, they waited so long, and they feel as if the United States have broken that trust over 20 years. They have yet wanted peace negotiations, and they feel as if they have not taken control of their own identity, and also the engagement of the world. They're looking on the United States to yet accept Palestine as an individual state, which the United States have declared that they are yet support of Palestine to become an individual state. But the fact is, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu would desire sanctions on Palestine because of the action, the forces of wanting more extension on the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. But how do you feel? How do you feel the vote going forward on the UN General Assembly and the Security Council? What do you feel as if their vote translating from this vote with this bid? Making membership for Palestine, what do you feel as if this will this translate to votes in the UN?
I would like to see how it turns out, because I'm not too sure how it would translate, but I think that it would definitely be interesting to see. I just don't know how things will turn out, especially with Canada also withdrawing their $10 million as well.
That's important.
Now it's up to a total of $90 million. These are really important countries that are not showing their support.
And mind you, the United States will be impacted by their own vote with UNESCO, because they have not yet paid $60 million into this vote. They can jeopardize their vote long term. And it's very interesting to see, because support from Brazil, support from China and India, they yet voted for this passage of this membership state, and yet United States they are the ones looking inside, not out. But you know, it's funny. We're going to see the progress going forward, but it's interesting to see what the developments basically going forward, because it seems Israel is taking 1% of this stronghold, meaning that they cannot personally accept Palestine as an individual state. But we'll see going forward.
Yeah, we will. It's definitely a good issue to keep an eye on, because it does affect everyone. It affects the entire world.
Mind you, they get support. They have support from the UAE. the United Arab Emirates. They support Palestine state, and yet they don't acknowledge Israel as an individual state. But this has ramifications across the Middle East.
It does. It does, and like I said, it's impacting everyone, and it's actually opening new frontiers to other states in the UN, which we did not see their sides to many of the stuff, but we see a lot of people pitching in their ideas and their opinions on what's going on.
And this could have a great impact on the U.S. corporations because Palestinian, they will be accepted to the world intellect. They'll be accepted to so much in the sense of their position economically, the impact of Google, Microsoft, and even Apple. There's a concern on yet the ramifications of Palestine becoming a state. And we'll be right back.
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
You know, recently a woman wrote me to say nobody cares what happens to her money. Well, that's just not true. For 75 years, the FDIC has protected the money you deposit in banks. Those depositors have never lost one penny in the history of the FDIC. So here's the bottom line. You just can't put your money in the bank and not know how FDIC insurance works. You have got to make sure your money is 100% protected. So I want you to go to myfdicinsurance.gov and click on Edie the Estimator. In just a few simple steps, Edie lets you know if all your money is safe and sound. If I were you, I would want to know that. Who cares more about your money than you, me, and the FDIC?
Susie's right. Visit myfdicinsurance.gov and use Edie the Estimator, because the more you know, the safer your money.
Welcome back to American Controversial. I'm John Fitzgerald. GOP potential Herman Cain is in trouble after former co-workers accused him of sexual harassment while serving as CEO of the National Restaurant Association. Could GOP rivals and Obama's campaign take advantage of this? Also, is this accusation actually valid, and what is Herman Cain saying? Here's Tom Anders from CNN.
Herman Cain has been hit with a barrage of questions about whether he was accused of sexual harassment in the 90s. At first, the GOP presidential hopeful stayed silent.
You ever been accused of
I'm trying to...
sexual harassment? Have you? Have you, sir?
Now he's opening up about the allegations, made when he led the National Restaurant Association. The former Godfather's Pizza CEO recalled an encounter with one employee that ended up in a formal complaint.
I was standing near her, and I did this saying, "You're the same height as my wife." Because my wife is 5 feet tall, and she comes up to my chin. This lady's 5 feet tall, and she came up to my chin. So obviously, she thought that that was too close for comfort.
But Politico, which broke the story, says according to one of its sources, the allegations went beyond that.
One of the women told him that that Herman Cain invited her up to his hotel room during a National Restaurant Association event and made sexually explicit suggestions to her that made her feel uncomfortable.
Cain flatly denies the allegations. He says he has a bigger bullseye on his back since his surge in the Republican presidential polls. I'm Tommy Andres reporting.
Thank you, John and Tommy Anders. Now, Javier, Herman Cain has been accused of sexually harassing 3 different coworkers now. First on Sunday, it started with 1 coworker. Then it escalated to 2 coworkers. Then now it's 3, although we haven't gotten any hard evidence. Do you believe that these accusations are actually true?
It is very unknown because, according to various news sources, there's been some form of legal binding contract or something like that that they have signed, which allows them to keep their mouths shut 100%.
Okay,
and
but
if
they
they open up, they will get in trouble.
They shouldn't be able to keep their mouths shut, though. Information should be let out if this is true or not, because this can all be a lie. I mean, I'm not saying that it is a lie, but it can be. The information can be let out. You can get rid of the names. You could just put victim number 1, victim number 2, victim number 3. You just have to say the circumstances. Get a exact letter from a lawyer, from the company, from something. Don't you think that it's kind of weird how Herman Cain has gone about this? First, he says, I have no clue about this. I've being falsely accused. I am not the one who has done this. I think everybody's against me since I've gone to the top. And then he goes, if there was a settlement, I wasn't aware of it. Do you think that's kind of fishy? Do you think that he might have something to hide?
Not sure, though, but I think the reason why he's probably flip-flopping is because there's a lot of pressure mounting up on him. And, it's natural for a person to, be flip-flopping when he's under that much of, scrutiny.
But
fire.
he is a potential presidential candidate. Why?
Yes.
Why is a potential presidential candidate flip-flopping? Is it just because he feels like it?
Probably not. He may have to play a little bit of politics to stay alive. But the big thing here about this, potential, accusation is that the GOP rivals could take a lot of advantage of this.
So Rick Perry, there has been speculation that Rick Perry actually leaked this story. I mean, Politico is the one who came out with the story, but Rick Perry might have been the actual person who went, hey, I found something about Herman Cain in the 90s. Let's try to bring him down, due to the fact that Herman Cain has been rising in the polls very significantly since September. And I actually heard a poll tonight that the American people actually don't trust the media. They think that the media is just hyping this story up because it first of all, it was from the 90s, and second of all, he never actually got charged with anything. There might have been a settlement, but he never actually got charged. And he is still above in the polls. They just took a poll today in South Carolina and all the southern states. Now, do you think this is going to hurt him?
It may, but a little bit on the poll points. Still, unknown. There's still much more to investigate on this, but it may not hurt him after all.
What is there to investigate?
Whether these allegations are true or not.
Yeah, but they just came out with the poll. If it is true or not, do you still support Herman Cain? And he's still above in the polls over Rick Perry and Mitt Romney. And I think that one of the GOP contenders did leak this. Rick Perry might have came out with this. And guess what? He's still not going above in the polls. Also, President Obama, do you think that he's going to get some satisfaction out of this?
Well, it's not known yet who's going to clinch the GOP nomination. But if Herman Cain does clinch the nomination, Obama's definitely going to cash in on this just to get votes.
President Obama's just waiting for the GOP to collapse terribly. But we'll be right back right after this break.
Dinner makes a difference. Learn more at CasaFamilyDay.org.
Welcome back to American Controversial. I'm Vincent Zafanti. Pounds of marijuana, cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamines are being distributed across America by the Mexican drug cartel organizations. Also, a huge amount of violence is taking place in Mexico. What is the Drug Enforcement Administration and the U.S. Homeland Security doing to stop this growing drug war crisis in our urban cities? Let's go to Fiona Wyla Sweeney from CNN.
México y del mundo.
A YouTube video apparently from the international hacker ring Anonymous. This time the message, a threat to a Mexican drug cartel. Posted on October 6th, it claims the Zetas, a notoriously violent drug gang, kidnapped an anonymous member in the Mexican state of Veracruz.
We demand his release.
The video message was uploaded in both English and Spanish and warns that the names, photographs and addresses of cartel supporters can be published if necessary. CNN has reached out to a contact within Anonymous who wasn't able to verify its authenticity. However, Scott Stewart, Vice President for Tactical Intelligence of the think tank Stratfor, says the video appears authentic.
For example, we saw Anonymous release videos in August on the 19th and the 26th, and they also did a number of leaflet drops throughout the city where they would go around and pin leaflets in public places around Veracruz, charging the Veracruz government of being involved in supporting narcotics smuggling.
The hacking group is known for online attacks against banks and government institutions. They claim to be part of the US Occupy Wall Street and Occupy Together movements, and sympathetic to WikiLeaks. But the messages are sometimes inconsistent.
We still have conflicting reports to whether or not there was a kidnapping. We had one alleged anonymous person saying that it was just a hoax. Other people have said that there is a person that was kidnapped and they're upset about it.
You made a huge mistake by taking one of us. Release him. And if anything happens to him, you will always remember this upcoming November 5th.
November 5th is Guy Fawkes Day. He was a 17th century British anarchist, and the group is known to wear Guy Fawkes masks to hide their identity. But as social media becomes an increasingly common battleground in Mexico's drug war, intelligence groups say viral videos may fuel the Zetas to do more of their hacking in real life.
Even if they don't have this person currently in custody, I would not be surprised if they would not go out and look for members of Anonymous. This kind of cyber vigilantism we see from Anonymous really seems to be tapping a nerve with the people of Veracruz, and perhaps it'll even spread beyond Veracruz to the rest of Mexico.
Fanula Sweeney, CNN Atlanta.
Thank you, Fiona Walla. Now let's go to John Fitzgerald, Brad Guthrie, and Adriana Valencia for more.
Thanks, Vinny. So, do you think the clip is authentic? Do you think the Mexican cartels are truly targeting organizations like Anonymous and others like them?
They're a threat. To understand that they are authentic, we need more information. But yet we are seeing the results of what they have been doing, killing 40,000 innocent people since 2006. It's amazing what these people are doing and what their hands are getting into. The fact that they're able to get this ammunition to do this it's appalling, and humanity itself and the dignity of it they have no respect for. And so by any means necessary they're going to do whatever they need to do to establish their rule and possibly control the country and the democratic country of Mexico. How do you feel that, Adriana?
We see that it's not just like 40,000 since 2006. We see that it's 15,000 plus just this in 2010. Imagine how high it's going to be in 2011. We see that the situation is getting worse, and the president of Mexico is doing nothing to help its people. It's just constant threatening to the locals all the time.
Exactly.
We don't see any improvement in the area. So we need to see what the police, the law enforcement is going to do.
There is no police.
There's no brutal force.
At this point, it's the Mexican army fighting them, and they haven't been effective. I mean, today in Veracruz, there was a shootout. Over 100 people were killed in one day, and most reports show that the army lost and that the area is being controlled by the Zetas. So I think the question needs to be asked that if Mexico can't take care of this, and this is affecting us, it's over our borders, the guns come from here, and then the drugs come here, what can we do to solve this?
Well, the question is how can we strengthen our borders? Do we yet ask those who are coming from Iraq, they need of jobs? Do they go and they secure our borders, specifically in Texas and in California, where these drugs are easily smuggled in our urban cities, using children with low profiles? It's amazing. What do we do with our own defense regarding to how far we get into this?
I mean, it's not only strengthening our borders, but we have to find out who is in charge of
Exactly.
this. Where
Who
are
will
they
be?
getting all
We
the
don't know
drugs
that.
from? But we don't have anything to go on because they're so secretive about everything that's going on. Anyone could be in danger.
I mean, we're not even sure how many cartels there truly are.
Exactly.
Today, a new cartel apparently moved into Mexico City. They put 4 bodies dismembered. I'll spare the details. And that was their message, that we are here, and they put in writing above the bodies that a new cartel is here, the San Jose cartel.
It's amazing.
We're not sure who we're fighting, and that can be confusing, and it means we have to be careful if we take direct intervention into Mexico, because we don't want to fight another war. Where we could be targeting civilians, because we're not sure who is in the cartels.
Because there's fear all around the country, and fear with the absence itself leads to crisis, leads to so many other aspects that we can't even think when it comes to families that have no dealing with yet these narcotics. And when it comes to the Obama administration, do you feel they're doing an effective work? Quick answer.
No, not at all.
We'll go to break. Thanks so much. We'll see you.
For over 75 years, consumers and dental professionals have looked for the American Dental Association's seal of acceptance on products. The ADA seal stands for quality and effectiveness. Manufacturers who apply for the seal must meet certain criteria. They must provide objective data supporting the product's safety, evidence of purity and uniformity in manufacturing practices, and laboratory studies and clinical trials using guidelines set by the ADA to demonstrate effectiveness. All product claims made on packaging and labeling are approved by the ADA, so you can trust them. The seal is awarded for a 5-year period. These products are continually reevaluated to ensure safety and quality. To learn more and find a list of products awarded the ADA seal, visit ada.org. For the ADA Dental Minute, I'm Dr. Maria Lopez Howell.
Welcome back to American Controversial. I'm Adriana Valencia. With Congress gridlocked by a partisan divide, the president continues to issue executive orders to further his agenda. Is President Obama overstepping his constitutional boundaries? And are these orders truly helping the average American? Let's go to Brad Guthrie, Vincent Safante, and John Fitzgerald for more.
Thank you, Adriana. Well, guys, President Obama is racking up his tally of executive orders. President Obama had 30 executive orders. How much did President Bush have?
58 over 2 terms.
Over 2 terms. President Obama is not even done with his first term, and he's already up to 30. If you average it out with President Bush, it comes out to about 28 executive orders each term. I mean, he did more, as you've had
in the second
term, but there still is a majority Obama's higher in his first term.
I think this is part of a troubling trend if you look back at the last 4 presidents, where each administration has increased the amount of executive orders it's given, especially in times when Congress won't agree with its agenda. I think we're heading towards a position where the president feels that Congress won't do what he wants, he'll just order it.
But does that make the president look bad? Because it's like, we have a Congress that's so separated right now, due to the fact that the Americans are so separated right now.
And their polls is dismal for Congress.
Congress is
9%,
so low.
9%.
6%.
Now 6%.
Wow.
Okay.
But it's so low
that
the American people don't. American people are divided, to be honest. That's why this whole economy is still poor. The voting is still off, because we don't really even know what we want. And President Obama is just coming out with the executive orders, and it's really not helping, I don't think.
You don't think that in the Quinnipiac poll, his actual job approval is going up? So I think the White House administration, they're looking at that, and they're seeing that if he gets away, or if he leaves Washington, gets his hand in touch with the people, and seeing that I can't do nothing with this Congress, so I have to actually get away from Washington to see my agenda being fulfilled, and make the American people believe that if I'm going to do whatever is necessary to move this country forward, I got to do it.
Well, Brad, do you think that the people like his actual policies, or they just like Washington is actually doing something, even if it's anything?
Well, they dislike this policy. Look at the situation we're seeing now.
That's a good point.
I mean, it's right now we're seeing that a Republican candidate are running on his policy that his agenda, which was Obamacare, and not the deficit being at a number that we cannot even describe. But at this moment in time, I feel as if Obama, he himself, he wants to be reelected. We see that he's already campaigning. He's not even the president.
He's not campaigning after the first day they got into office. But you brought up Obamacare, which is interesting. That wasn't an actual executive order.
Exactly.
And he's still not liked for that, even though the Congress actually passed Obamacare. He's still not liked for that. The problem with President Obama, let's talk about his new executive order that just came out, the student loan.
Exactly.
10% of the student loans that we take out as students here at William Paterson University, we only have to pay 10% back. And after 20 years...
Well, no. You have to pay 10% of your income, and then after 20 years, if you haven't reached it,
it gets forgiven.
I think it's a good policy. I think it frees up students from being crippled by debt. Because, let's be real here, if the economy needs to get moving again, people need to spend money on something other than paying your bank back. So
what motivates you?
What motivates any person? You want to do better for yourself. You shouldn't need the bank whipping at you to motivate you. That's basically saying, why would anyone do anything unless you were owed, or you owed someone?
Well, it's interesting, but see, I look at this at this standpoint. President Obama is saying that, okay, after 20 years, it gets forgiven. Okay, and 10% of your income you must pay.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm going to be here as a student. I'm going to be like, oh, President Obama's going to forgive it after 20 years, and I can just get not a great job because, hey, I only need to pay 10% of my income until 20 years is up. Maybe I don't want to really study that hard. If I can get an F, and I don't need a scholarship anymore because I can get a student loan. That doesn't matter to me, although the grades will affect what job you get. But if you get an F, of course, you're going to fail out of university. But let's say a C. You won't be an A student anymore. You won't be motivated to get to that A because guess what? The government's going to pay your loans back from you. You're not.
There's challenges in the system, but itself, the idea, taking away student debt, your hands are lifted up, students will get thrown to the voting polls. I think more students will be more motivated to vote again for a second term for Obama, just because he's focusing the target of student loan debt.
But do you think that this might expand college opportunity, though, that if people feel that they won't be crippled by debt forever, that they'll take out loans to go to college, and we might get better students who otherwise might have been able to afford it?
That's an interesting point. That might actually be right. Students might go, oh, hey, look what President Obama just put into order. Maybe now, since I'm just sitting at home, I have an option.
Well, we'll talk more about that another time.
Yeah, well, thank you for watching. As always, we want you to remember, it's always controversial in America. Good night.